Okay, good. Thank you very much. Okay, good. So I am very happy to be here with all of you. I was in Jambi for a few days. Was it last year, the year before? And then in Palembang only one night. Yeah, but I was very impressed with the Dharma groups in both places and how enthusiastic you were to learn the Dharma. And I was also very struck by going to the places where Lama Atisha had been on Sumatra, because for years and years in my studies in the Tibetan tradition, I've heard a lot about Sumatra. Moming, go ahead.
Yes, Venerable. Beliau bahagia sekali bisa kembali berjumpa dengan kita. Di tahun akhir 2018, beliau pernah datang ke Jambi untuk retret dan juga ke Palembang satu malam. Beliau sangat terkesan dengan kelompok atau komunitas Buddhis yang beliau jumpai di sana dan sangat merasa luar biasa bisa berkunjung ke tempat di mana Yang Mulia Atisha pernah datang. Dalam studi saya tentang agama Buddha Tibet, saya sering mendengar kata Sumatera, dan pada akhirnya saya bisa berkunjung.
Yeah. Because Lama Atisha was from Bengal, India, but he's very important in the Tibetan Buddhist lineage because he brought Buddhism to Tibet.
Ya, Lama Atisha sangat penting dalam agama Buddha Tibet karena beliau membawa Dharma kembali ke Tibet dalam transmisi yang kedua. Beliau adalah seseorang yang lahir di Bengal, India.
And one part of the teachings that he brought were the teachings on bodhicitta, the aspiration to become a fully awakened Buddha to benefit sentient beings. And he received that teaching and that lineage from Lama Serlingpa, who lived in Jambi, yeah, and maybe had visited Palembang also.
Ya, yang dibawa Lama Atisha adalah ajaran penting tentang bodhicitta. Selain ajaran, beliau juga membawa silsilah yang dia terima dari Lama Serlingpa. Ajaran yang dibawa adalah tentang bodhicitta, yaitu aspirasi untuk mencapai kebudaan demi menolong semua makhluk dari samsara. Dan Lama Serlingpa ini pernah tinggal di Jambi, atau juga mungkin pernah bepergian ke Palembang.
So when I went to Palembang and to Jambi, to the pilgrimage places, I had such a very strong feeling about the kindness of the people in Indonesia so many centuries ago. This was in the 10th and 11th century. The kindness of the Indonesian people in preserving the Dharma, transmitting it to Lama Atisha, who took it to Tibet, and then my teachers bringing it to America. So really a feeling of the history there and the kindness of all the people involved in passing down the lineage.
Dan ketika berada di sana, saya merasakan suatu energi, perasaan yang kuat tentang kebaikan dari orang-orang Indonesia. Bagaimana semua ajaran itu dilestarikan, dikembangkan, kemudian ditransmisikan kepada Atisha yang dibawa kembali ke Tibet, kemudian oleh guru saya dibawa ke Amerika sehingga silsilahnya terus berjalan. Jadi ada satu perasaan, energi yang saya rasakan tentang kebaikan orang-orang pada saat itu dan juga di kita sekarang.
Yeah. And you know, as we all know, when over centuries, then Buddhism died out in Indonesia, both on Java and Sumatra, and then I go there, and there's all you people practicing and interested in the Dharma, and I'm going, wow, this is amazing. And I would like to help Buddhism to be reestablished in Indonesia.
Dan seperti kita ketahui bahwa agama Buddha di satu masa pernah kering atau lenyap. Dan ketika saya berkesempatan berkunjung ke Indonesia, saya terkejut. Saya melihat orang-orang yang berpraktekkan Dharma, punya energi untuk menyebarkan Dharma, dan saya terpanggil untuk dapat membantu, ya, memberikan bantuan untuk bisa menghidupkan kembali agama Buddha.
And so the best way to do that is to share the Dharma through Dharma talks. And that's what we're going to be doing now.
Cara terbaik untuk melakukannya adalah menyebarkan Dharma melalui khotbah-khotbah. Dan ini yang kita akan lakukan sekarang.
Yeah. Because making the Dharma flourish in Indonesia again isn't just a question of building buildings. It's a question of people practicing, people learning the teachings, people applying the teachings in their own lives so that they become better people.
Karena mengembangkan ajaran Buddha itu bukan tentang membangun bangunan, tapi bagaimana supaya ajaran itu dipelajari, dipraktekkan, sehingga orang-orang menjadi orang yang lebih baik.
Okay. And so that's why I thought to go over this text, the 37 practices of Bodhisattvas, that has been translated already into Bahasa Indonesian.
Ya, dan oleh sebab itu saya pikir alangkah baiknya kita mengupas tentang 37 praktek Bodhisattva yang juga sudah diterjemahkan ke bahasa Indonesia.
And this particular text, the 37 practices of Bodhisattvas, was a text by some of the Kadampa Geshis, the Kadampa masters, and that was a tradition that stemmed from Lama Atisha when he came to Tibet.
Jadi teks ini dikompos oleh para scholar dari Kadampa, tapi berasal dari teks-teks dari Lama Atisha.
So these particular teachings, they're very practical. Yeah, they're not intellectual. There's something for us to really think about and apply in our lives, and they will help us tremendously if we apply them in our lives.
Ya, ajaran ini sifatnya praktis, bukan intelektual, dan bila dipraktekkan dalam kehidupan kita, akan memberikan pengaruh yang sangat luar biasa.
Okay. If you don't have the book already, I suggest that you get it. Yeah.
Kalau belum punya bukunya, dapatkan segera.
Yeah. You're fortunate, some hardworking people translated and printed it.
Ya, Anda beruntung, ada orang-orang yang bekerja keras menerjemahkan dan menerbitkannya.
Okay. So before we start, our tradition is to take a minute and just cultivate a good motivation for listening to the Dharma. So
Sebelum kita mulai, mari kita memunculkan sebuah motivasi untuk mendengarkan Dharma.
okay. So take a minute and come back to your breath. Observe your breath and let your mind settle down.
Duduk sejenak, amati nafas, agar pikiran menjadi tenang.
Okay. And then think that we're going to share the Dharma teachings today.
Dan relevan, hari ini kita akan mempelajari ajaran Buddha
so that we can abandon negativities of our body, speech, and mind.
agar kita dapat meninggalkan hal-hal negatif dari pikiran, ucapan, dan perbuatan kita.
And so that we can generate all the virtues that are like seeds in our mind at present.
Dan kita dapat menumbuh kembangkan kebajikan-kebajikan yang sekarang dalam bentuk benih dalam pikiran kita sekarang.
And that we want to do this so that we can become fully awakened Buddhas.
Dan kita lakukan ini agar kita dapat menjadi Buddha yang tergugah sempurna.
Because when we're able to become Buddhas, then we will have the wisdom, the compassion, the skillful means to be able to be of the greatest benefit to each and every living being. And that's our ultimate aim.
Karena dengan begitu kita akan memiliki kearifan, welas asih, dan cara-cara terampil untuk menolong semua makhluk dari samsara sebagai tujuan tertinggi kita.
Then you can open your eyes, come out of your meditation.
Silakan buka mata dan keluar dari sesi meditasi Anda.
Okay. There are some prayers. We won't do them today, but perhaps next time.
Jadi ada puja, tapi kita tidak lakukan hari ini, mungkin di lain kesempatan.
Okay, so let's start with this text. Yeah.
Mari kita mulai dengan teks berikut ini.
Okay, so the first verse says, having gained this rare ship of freedom and fortune, hear, think, and meditate unwaveringly night and day in order to free yourself and others from the ocean of cyclic existence. This is the practice of bodhisattvas.
Jadi setelah mendapatkan tubuh kelahiran yang baik ini, maka Anda merenungkan bagaimana dapat mempraktekkan, itulah praktek para bodhisattva.
So this is very similar to the motivation that we just generated at the beginning, because when the value of what we do depends foremost on our motivation. And so this verse is really setting out for us our ultimate purpose, which is to free ourselves and others from the ocean of cyclic existence.
Jadi ayat ini sama dengan apa yang telah kita lakukan di awal, karena nilai dari apa yang perbuatan kita ini bergantung kepada motivasi kita, di mana motivasi utamanya adalah membebaskan makhluk-makhluk dari lingkaran kehidupan.
So what is cyclic existence or samsara, this ocean that we are drowning in?
Apa itu samsara? Apa itu lingkaran kehidupan di mana kita tenggelam di dalamnya?
It means taking one rebirth after another without freedom, but under the force of mental afflictions and ignorance and karma.
Ya, di mana kita lahir kembali berulang-ulang tanpa punya kebebasan, di mana kita dipengaruhi atau tercengkram oleh karma kita, oleh kotoran-kotoran batin kita.
And when we take rebirth, then we get another body like this one. We have, our mind.
Ya, dan ketika kita lahir lagi, kita dapat tubuh baru seperti yang sekarang, dan juga pikiran kita.
Okay, but there's no freedom. Our body gets old and sick and dies as it pleases. We cannot stop those natural biological processes.
Ya, dan tubuh kita akan jatuh sakit dan meninggal, dan kita tidak bisa dapat mencegah ya proses ini.
And our mind likewise is very unruly. It has all sorts of thoughts. Some of them are really so bad we hope nobody knows what they are. And we get confused, we're angry, we're upset, we're jealous, we're proud, we cling, we crave, and everything's all about me.
Ya.
And so our mind is not free.
Demikian juga dengan pikiran ya. Pikiran kita tuh tidak bebas. Pikiran kita itu tidak dapat kita kendalikan. Muncul begitu banyak pikiran-pikiran negatif, ya, marah, benci, iri hati, dan kita jadi tidak bebas ya.
Okay, so our aim is to free ourselves from this cycle of constantly recurring rebirths with all of their difficulties, and not only to free ourselves, but to help free everybody else too.
Jadi tujuan kita adalah membebaskan diri kita ya dari kehidupan berulang ini. Tapi tujuannya bukan semata-mata untuk kebebasan kita saja, tapi juga menolong orang lain untuk bisa bebas.
Okay. So when this verse, it says, having gained this rare ship of freedom and fortune, what it means is that we have a precious human life with the human intelligence that enables us to learn the Dharma, to think about it, to meditate on it, to analyze it, to discover the truth, to become the kind of person we want to be.
Ya, jadi ayat pertama ini mengingatkan bahwa kita punya kelahiran manusia yang beruntung, kita punya kemampuan untuk bisa mempelajari Dharma, menganalisis Dharma, menganalisis ajaran, dan kita dapat beraspirasi untuk menjadi manusia seperti yang kita inginkan.
So our present human life is very precious in that way. If you think about it, we could have been born as an animal, or, as an insect, as somebody who has absolutely no interest in the Dharma. But we were in this lifetime, due to so much virtuous karma we created in the past, we have the fortune of having a life where we have the conducive conditions to learn and practice the Buddha's teachings.
Nah, bila kita renungkan, kita di kehidupan sekarang ini punya sebuah kondisi yang sangat kondisif untuk mempelajari ajaran Buddha. Bayangkan bila kita terlahir sebagai hewan, bayangkan bila kita terlahir sebagai orang yang tidak terinspirasi untuk belajar Dharma. Tapi kita tidak ya, kita punya semua kondisi yang mendukung untuk mempelajari ajaran Buddha.
So this first verse is reminding us to really make use of our life, to be wise about how we spend our time, and not waste it in doing stupid things, because it's very hard to have the kind of rebirth whereby we can meet the Dharma and learn it and practice it.
Ya, ini juga sebuah perenungan agar kita berhati-hati menggunakan waktu kita. Kenapa? Karena bila tidak, maka kita akan menyanyiakan kesempatan sekarang, di mana kita dapat mempelajari dan mempraktekkan Buddha Dharma.
So I'm explaining the verse very generally. I'm not going into it in real depth now, but I think you probably have other books where you can read about this. And the thing is, when you contemplate this deeply, then you feel very fortunate, and you don't get depressed. Yeah, because you feel like your life has some very important meaning because you can practice the Dharma.
Ya, jadi ayat ini tidak dibahas secara mendalam karena Anda dapat menemukannya di sumber-sumber buku yang lain. Yang dijadikan poin utamanya adalah agar kita bersyukur kita punya kehidupan ini dan tidak depresi. Mengapa? Karena kita tahu ada sebuah tujuan aspirasi mulia yang dapat kita lakukan, yaitu untuk mempelajari Dharma.
Okay, so doing this is the practice of bodhisattvas, and a bodhisattva is somebody who has the very strong love and compassion for all living beings, such that they want to attain full Buddhahood so that they have the skills to be able to help others most effectively.
Ya, inilah disebut praktik bodhisatwa, karena bodhisatwa adalah seseorang yang beraspirasi untuk mencapai kebuddhaan sehingga agar mempunyai keterampilan untuk dapat membantu makhluk-makhluk lain secara efektif.
Yeah. So all 37 verses end with the line of this is the practice of bodhisattvas. Yeah.
37 ayat ini berakhir dengan tulisan inilah praktek seorang bodhisattva.
And so in learning the meaning of the verses and practicing them, then we are doing what these holy beings are doing.
Dan ketika kita mempelajarinya, maka kita juga sedang melakukan apa yang makhluk-makhluk suci agung ini sedang lakukan.
And when we follow the teachings of the holy beings and practice them, then we know that our lives are meaningful and they have a very strong purpose. And we know that what we're doing is good and it's correct. And then we don't get confused.
Ya, jadi dengan mempraktekkan ini kita jadi tahu bahwa tujuan hidup kita itu mulia. Kita punya tujuan hidup yang baik sehingga kita tidak bingung untuk apa kita hidup di dunia ini.
Okay, then the second verse.
Okay. Baik yang kedua ya.
Attached to your loved ones, you're stirred up like water. Hating your enemies, you burn like fire. In the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard. Give up your homeland. This is the practice of bodhisattvas.
Wonderful. Can you read one line by line? I'm afraid I might.
You don't have the book with you?
Luckily, I'm not in Jakarta now, so I was in traveling, so I don't have the book.
Oh.
I'll come back tomorrow or 2 days after this.
Okay. Okay, so attached to your loved ones, you're stirred up like water.
Oke, jadi Anda melekat kepada orang yang Anda kasihi, jadi Anda tuh teraduk-aduk seperti air ya.
Hating your enemies, you burn like fire.
Benci musuh, Anda terbakar seperti api.
In the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard.
Ya, dalam dalam kegelapan, Anda tidak tahu apa yang harus Anda simpan dan Anda buang.
Give up your homeland. This is the practice of bodhisattvas.
Ya, lepaskan homeland Anda, inilah praktek bodhisattva. I think the homeland is kind of not literal meaning, right?
It means the land, literally what it means is the land where you grew up, the land where your family is. Oke,
jadi tanah air ya. Homeland itu tanah air.
Yeah, but I'll explain it in a fuller meaning. Okay. So if we look at our lives, this verse kind of describes what our lives are like right now.
Jadi ayat ini menggambarkan kehidupan kita sekarang. Seperti apa kehidupan kita sekarang?
Okay. So when we're attached to our family members, we're attached to our friends. We love these people so much. We always want to be with them. We don't want to ever be separated from them.
Kita melekat kepada orang-orang yang kita kasihi, keluarga, teman, dan kita tidak mau berpisah dengan mereka.
Okay. So when there's this kind of clinging and attachment to people, then our mind is not very peaceful.
Dengan kemelekatan ini, maka pikiran kita tidak damai.
Okay. Why? Well, just look at our mind. You know, it's like, oh, that person's so wonderful. I always want to be with them. But what happens if they don't like me and I'm so far away from them and we're separated and I'm miserable? And what are they going to think about me? Are they going to abandon me? We have so much emotional turmoil when we're really attached to people and never want to be separated from them.
Jadi ketika kita sangat melekat, sangat ingin dekat dengan seseorang, tidak mau berpisah, maka kita mengalami satu gejolak emosi yang sangat luar biasa. Kita memikirkan apakah orang itu akan suka dengan kita atau kita kangen dengan orang itu. Nah, ini kemudian menciptakan sebuah gejolak perasaan yang berkecamuk dalam diri kita.
Yeah. So don't take my word for this. Look at your own life and look at the lives of the people around you and see if this is true.
Oke, coba perhatikan kehidupan Anda atau orang-orang di sekitar Anda dan tanyakan apakah itu benar.
Yeah. When we fall in love with somebody, we think that is the one and only person for me. And then there's over 7 billion human beings on the planet, but we can only be happy when we're with one of them.
Ya, bayangkan jika Anda sedang jatuh cinta ya, dan ada 7 miliar manusia di dunia ini, dan Anda hanya bisa bahagia dengan satu orang itu saja. Coba Anda renungkan. Ketika Anda sedang jatuh cinta.
But then you love your parents, you love your siblings, you love your children, but don't they all drive you crazy at sometimes? You're all quarreling, they're so uncooperative, they don't do what you want.
Dan dengan perhatikanlah orang-orang yang Anda kasihi, pasangan Anda, anak Anda. Bukankah mereka sering bikin Anda jadi nggak happy ya? Dia bikin Anda stres, kemudian tidak melakukan apa yang Anda mau. Coba renungkanlah.
Yeah. So we're so attached to them, but we also have so many problems with them.
Kita melekat kepada mereka dan mereka menciptakan begitu banyak masalah untuk kita.
Hey, true or not true?
Betul apa betul?
Hello? True?
Halo, halo.
True, true.
Very, very true.
Okay. Then, okay. Hating your enemies, you burn like fire. So sometimes we get so mad at other people. Yeah, you're mad at your boss. You're mad at the government. You're mad at your brothers and sisters. You're mad at your neighbors. You're mad at yourself. And it's like fire, you know, when you're enraged, it's like fire burns you up on the inside.
Jadi ketika Anda sedang marah, itu seperti api yang membakar ya. Anda marah sama teman, pasangan, pemerintah, itu tuh seperti api yang membakar dalam diri Anda.
Yeah. And then we're so miserable when we're angry. And we try and, you know, tell the other person that they've got to change because we're right and they're wrong.
Dan ketika kita marah, itu rasanya api di dalam diri, dan kita bilang, kamu yang berubah. Kenapa? Karena kamu salah dan saya yang benar.
But our enemies are so stupid. They will not listen to our advice and do what we want.
Tapi musuh kita tuh goblok banget, bodoh. Mereka tidak akan melakukan nasihat kita, tidak akan melakukan apa yang kita mau.
Yeah. So then we spend time planning our revenge. How are we going to harm them so that they will finally realize that we're right and they've got to do things our way.
Dan kita sibuk membuat rencana untuk balas dendam supaya dia berubah melakukan apa yang seperti yang kita mau.
And you know what's interesting? The more attached we are to somebody, the angrier we get when they don't do what we want.
Yang menarik adalah semakin kita melekat kepada seseorang, maka kita akan semakin marah ketika dia tidak melakukan apa yang kita mau.
Who do you get mad at? Strangers or people you love?
Anda marah sama siapa? Orang asing atau orang yang Anda kasihi?
Yeah. We get madder at the people we care about, don't we? And we say the most awful things to the people that we love. Things that we would never say to a stranger.
Bukankah kita marah sama orang yang kita kenal, orang yang kita kasihi, kita katakan hal yang buruk kepada mereka, dan kita tidak pernah mengatakan hal-hal buruk itu kepada orang asing.
And then we wonder why our family is not very happy.
Lalu kita bingung, kenapa keluarga saya tidak bahagia ya?
So what this verse is doing is it's identifying mental afflictions or disturbing emotions that when they manifest in our mind, they make us miserable and they make us do all sorts of negative actions.
Ya, jadi bait ini mengingatkan bahwa ketika kita mempunyai emosi yang galau, ini membuat kita melakukan banyak hal-hal yang negatif, ya, perbuatan negatif dan juga pikiran yang terganggu.
So attachment, anger. Then the third one is confusion. In the darkness of confusion, you forget what to adopt and discard.
Ya, dalam kegelapan, dalam kondisi bingung, Anda tidak tahu apa yang harus Anda simpan dan apa yang harus Anda buang.
Okay. So what is this confusion? It's the inability to know what are the causes of happiness and what are the causes of suffering.
Ya, jadi kondisi bingung ini artinya kita tidak tahu mana yang menyebabkan kebahagiaan dan mana yang menyebabkan penderitaan.
Because as ordinary beings, what we think of as the cause of happiness from the Buddhist perspective is often the cause of suffering.
Sebagai umat biasa, apa yang kita anggap sebagai penyebab kebahagiaan seringkali adalah penyebab penderitaan.
Okay, so for example, I'm very attached to my family. So in order to get more money for the family, I overcharge people when I do business, or I lie to somebody, or I use the company's goods for my own self, you know, and get to give to the family. So out of attachment to the family, then I get involved in negative actions.
Misalnya karena kita sayang sama keluarga, agar punya uang lebih untuk keluarga kita, maka kita melakukan hal-hal negatif, misalnya menaikkan harga terlalu tinggi atau menggunakan barang kantor untuk keluarga. Hal-hal negatif itu kita lakukan karena kita menyayangi atau melekat kepada keluarga kita.
But we don't see these actions as negative because we think, oh, I'm doing something to help the family. But in fact, yeah, we have a very selfish motivation at that time, and we're creating negative actions, negative karma that will ripen in our experience of suffering in future lives or even later on in this life.
Ya, karena itu, karena rasa sayang itu kita tidak sadar bahwa kita melakukan perbuatan buruk, ya, yang nanti akibatnya akan kita rasakan di kehidupan ini atau kehidupan mendatang.
Similarly, when we're very angry, yeah, we are so convinced that we're right that we say all sorts of horrible things to other people. We may even hit them or beat them or throw something at them. And we think that that's going to make us happy, but actually it's only increasing conflict and unhappiness in this life. And again, because we're harming other living beings, we're putting the seeds of negative karma in our mind stream that will ripen in terms of suffering in future lives or later on in this life.
Ya, demikian juga dengan kondisi marah. Ketika kita marah, kita mengucapkan kata-kata atau melakukan perbuatan yang menyakiti orang tersebut. Dan kita berpikir bahwa kita bahagia ketika melakukannya. Kita tidak sadar bahwa itu adalah sebuah perbuatan buruk yang akan berbuah dalam bentuk karma buruk yang akan kita rasakan dalam bentuk penderitaan, baik di kehidupan sekarang atau di kehidupan berikutnya.
Okay. So we don't know what to adopt. We don't know what virtuous actions we should really put our energy into doing.
Kita bingung, kita tidak tahu perbuatan bajik apa yang seharusnya kita lakukan.
And we're also confused about what are negative actions that we should avoid doing because they bring suffering to ourselves and others.
Kita juga bingung mana perbuatan buruk yang seharusnya kita hindari, ya, perbuatan yang menciptakan penderitaan bagi diri kita dan orang lain.
Okay. So then the verse says, give up your homeland. Now, why is leaving the place where your family is, where you grew up, how is that going to help solve this problem of attachment, anger, and confusion?
Tinggalkan tanah airmu. Nah, bagaimana mungkin ini dapat mampu mengatasi masalah kemelekatan, kemarahan, dan kebingungan ini? Bagaimana mungkin?
Because when we are physically, when there's some space physically between the people we're attached to and us, between the people that we don't like and us, then there's less chance for attachment, jealousy, anger, craving to arise. And that gives us the mental space to practice virtue and to do purification and to learn the Buddha's teachings.
Ya, karena jika kita memberi ruang atau jarak dengan orang yang kita dekati atau kita melekat kepada orang tersebut atau kita marah kepada orang tersebut, maka kita akan menciptakan sebuah ruang atau jarak mental agar kita dapat mempelajari ajaran-ajaran Dharma sehingga kita dapat mengatasi emosi-emosi negatif seperti kemelekatan, kemarahan, dan kekelirutahuan.
So when we live among other people at a different place, then these negative emotions don't arise so easily.
Bila kita hidup di tempat lain bersama orang asing, maka emosi-emosi negatif ini tidak muncul dengan mudah.
Okay. Now, I'm not saying pack your bags and move out of your house tonight.
Saya nggak bilang berkemas lalu pindah ke rumah, pindah dari rumah Anda malam ini.
Okay. When it says here to give up your homeland, it really means to give up your attachment, give up the anger, give up the confusion.
Ya, yang dimaksud ayat ini adalah Anda tinggalkan kemelekatan, amarah, dan kekelirutahuan Anda.
Okay. Give up getting involved in all the family dramas.
Anda tinggalkan keterlibatan Anda dalam semua drama keluarga Anda.
Okay, don't be a busybody that has to know what's everybody in the family doing, how is everybody. I have to get involved in everybody's life and fix their lives.
Nah, jangan jadi
Don't
orang
do that.
sibuk ya. Jadi si ini lagi ngapain nih? Ini gimana kondisinya? Jangan jadi orang yang ingin ikut campur dalam kehidupan setiap orang dan berupaya memperbaiki kehidupan mereka.
Yeah, because sometimes in the name of caring for people, we flutter around them. We want to protect them from everything. So we stifle the children and, we boss our parents around and, it just makes everybody miserable.
Ya, atas nama kasih perhatian kita ingin ikut campur kehidupan semua orang. Anak-anak seperti ini pengen jadi bos untuk orang tua kita dan kita membuat kehidupan banyak orang itu jadi susah gitu, menderita.
Yeah, so what the verse is saying is stop trying to control everybody and everything in your life.
Ya,
Because you
jadi
can't do it.
berhentilah mengendalikan setiap hal dan setiap orang di kehidupan Anda. Karena itu tidak mungkin.
Okay, verse 3. Shall I do it line by line, Moming?
Yes, Venerable, that will be helpful. Thank you.
So, by avoiding bad objects, disturbing emotions gradually decrease.
Ya, dengan menghindari hal-hal yang buruk, maka dengan menghindari hal-hal yang buruk, maka emosi-emosi buruk perlahan-lahan akan berkurang.
Okay. Without distraction, virtuous activities naturally increase.
Tanpa gangguan, maka perbuatan-perbuatan bajik otomatis secara alami akan meningkat.
With clarity of mind, conviction in the teaching arises.
Dengan kejernihan pikiran, keyakinan kepada ajaran akan tumbuh.
Cultivate seclusion. This is the practice of bodhisattvas.
Tumbuhkanlah keheningan. Inilah praktek bodhisattva.
Okay. So first line. By avoiding bad objects, disturbing emotions gradually decrease.
Ya, dengan menghindari hal-hal buruk, maka emosi-emosi mengganggu perlahan-lahan akan berkurang.
So what's a bad object
Apa
that
sih
we're supposed to avoid?
Apa hal buruk yang harus kita hindari?
Well, actually, the objects aren't bad, but when our mind has attachment, anger, jealousy, arrogance, the objects of those disturbing emotions are called bad objects to avoid. But the objects and the other people aren't really bad. It's our emotional response to them that is distorted and disturbing.
Oke. Jadi apa sih disebut objek-objek yang buruk? Sebenarnya orang-orang atau benda-benda itu tidak buruk, tapi ketika kita mempunyai emosi-emosi yang mengganggu, misalnya kemelekatan, kemarahan, kecemburuan dan sebagainya, itu yang membuat objek-objek itu menjadi buruk.
Okay, so we try and stay away from especially people and objects of attachment.
Ya, kita berupaya untuk menjaga jarak ya dari orang-orang dan objek-objek mengganggu.
Okay. And then without distraction, because we're focusing on the Dharma and practicing it, integrating it in our lives, by doing that, then virtuous activities very naturally increase.
Dengan menghindari hal-hal negatif tersebut, maka perbuatan bajik kita itu perlahan-lahan akan bertambah.
And this especially happens when your friends are Dharma practitioners.
Khususnya bila kawan Anda adalah praktisi Dharma.
Because friends who are Dharma practitioners will encourage you to do virtuous activities. They will encourage you to be generous, to keep good ethical conduct, to subdue your anger, to have joyous effort in creating virtue. They will encourage us. So when we stay around those people, then our negativities decrease and our virtues increase, because we have very good role models near us, and we're influenced by people who are acting in constructive ways.
Sangat baik bila Anda mempunyai teman-teman praktisi Dharma, karena mereka akan mendorong kita, memotivasi kita dengan cara-cara yang konstruktif. Mereka akan mendorong kita untuk melakukan perbuatan-perbuatan baik, ya, untuk menjalankan sila. Jadi berada di sekitar orang-orang yang mempraktekkan Dharma, para praktisi itu akan secara otomatis membantu Anda mengurangi emosi-emosi negatif dan menambah perbuatan baik.
Whereas if we make friends and our companions are people who regularly lie, who regularly get drunk, who always get involved in bad business deals and cheating people, if those are the people that we're very close to, then we will be adversely influenced by them and our negativities will increase.
Nah, sebaliknya juga ya, bila Anda bergaul dengan orang-orang yang secara rutin berbohong, melakukan bisnis dengan curang, maka pada saat yang bersamaan, maka emosi negatif Anda juga akan meningkat dan kebajikan Anda akan berkurang.
And then the verse says, with clarity of mind, conviction in the teaching arises.
Ya, dengan kejernihan pikiran, maka keyakinan kepada ajaran itu akan tumbuh, akan terbit, akan meningkat.
Okay. So when we aren't running around doing all sorts of stupid things to make more money and harm our enemies and help our friends and become more famous, when we aren't distracted by trying to do all those kinds of things, then we can really think about what the Buddha said. And by thinking about it and investigating it, we develop conviction in these teachings, and our faith in the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha increase.
Ya, jika kita tidak sibuk ya, mau terkenal, cari duit yang banyak, maka kita akan mempunyai kejernihan, keyakinan kepada ajaran, sehingga keyakinan kita kepada ajaran Buddha itu akan meningkat. Kita punya waktu untuk merenungkan, mempelajari teks, dan membuat kita semakin yakin kepada ajaran Buddha.
So when this verse says cultivate seclusion as the way to do that, it doesn't mean you stop talking to everybody and you find a cave and you go live in it.
Ya, yang disebut dengan menemukan keheningan itu bukan berarti Anda cari goa tinggal di sana gitu, enggak.
It means you simplify your lifestyle.
Nah, ini artinya Anda sederhanakan hidup Anda.
Okay. You don't have to have all the clothes that are in style now. We don't have to have as much money as friends and relatives. We don't have to be famous. We simplify our lifestyle and focus on what is important to do in life.
Ya, kita sederhanakan hidup kita, fokuskan diri kepada hal yang penting. Anda tidak perlu punya uang yang sangat banyak, seperti teman dan keluarga. Anda tidak perlu punya pakaian dengan model terbaru. Sederhanakan saja gaya hidup Anda.
And what is important in life, to help other living beings.
penting dalam hidup ini menolong makhluk lain.
to solve problems in the world, to create the cause, to make sure that other people have food, clothing, shelter, and medicine, to help the people who are bereaved. Yeah, those
Ya.
are the things that are important.
Pasti hal yang penting kita mencoba ya untuk menolong orang-orang yang kekurangan, bantu yang mereka tidak punya makanan, tempat tinggal, obat-obatan. Itu hal yang penting.
Yeah. So we may think, oh, but my reputation is so important. I've got to have a good reputation. I want everybody to like me. I want everybody to say good things about me. I don't want people to criticize me.
Tapi saya ini mau jadi orang penting. Saya mau orang itu semua kenal saya. Saya nggak mau orang itu mengkritik saya.
Okay. And then you try and please other people, not because you really care about them, but because you're trying to manipulate them so that they like you and you have a good reputation and things like that.
Jadi Anda memuji orang, membantu orang lain, tapi itu semuanya palsu ya, karena Anda tidak tulus. Anda lakukan itu semata-mata agar mereka menyukai Anda.
Okay. And when we're attached to reputation and praise, and when we want to destroy the people who blame us and speak badly about us, then again our mind gets confused. We get involved in all sorts of negative actions. So when it says cultivate seclusion, it means stay away from the people and situations that influence us adversely and make our disturbing emotions come up.
Ya, jadi ciptakan keheningan ini juga bermakna ya kita hindari kondisi atau orang-orang yang dapat membuat kita memunculkan kondisi-kondisi atau emosi-emosi negatif ya. Misalnya Anda ingin menyakiti orang yang mengata-ngatain Anda di belakang Anda ya.
Okay, then verse 4.
Ya, kita masuk ke ayat yang keempat.
Loved ones who have long kept company will part. Loved ones who have long kept company will part.
Orang terkasih yang telah lama bersama kita itu akan berpisah dengan kita.
Okay. And wealth created with difficulty will be left behind.
Kekayaan yang telah kita dapatkan dengan susah payah akan kita tinggalkan.
Consciousness, the guest, will leave the guest house of the body.
Kesadaran sebagai tamu akan meninggalkan tubuh ini.
Let go of this life. This is the practice of bodhisattvas.
Tinggalkanlah kehidupan ini. Inilah praktik bodhisattva.
Okay. So back to the first one. Loved ones who have long kept company will part.
Ya, jadi orang terkasih yang telah lama bersama kita itu akan berpisah dari kita.
So we may be very close to certain people and we spend years and years with them and we love them and we don't want to be separated, but we can't always stay together because we're impermanent, they're impermanent, the relationship is impermanent.
Semuanya tidak kekal, kita tidak kekal, hubungannya tidak kekal. Ya, jadi orang yang dekat dengan kita selama bertahun-tahun, suatu saat akan berpisah dengan kita.
Everything that comes together has to separate. There's nothing, no two things that can come together that can always be together.
Semua hal yang menyatu akan berpisah, tidak ada satupun ya di dunia ini yang dibentuk dari dua hal itu akan bersama-sama menyatu selama-lamanya.
We're always changing. Our environment is impermanent. Everything is impermanent. There's no way to stop the changing nature of ourselves and everything in our life.
Ya, semuanya berubah, segalanya berubah, tidak ada yang tetap sama, tidak ada satupun yang dapat menghentikan hakikat perubahan dalam kehidupan kita.
Okay. And then wealth created with difficulty will be left behind.
Kekayaan yang kita telah kumpulkan susah payah akan kita tinggalkan.
So we not only have to separate from our loved ones, but we also have to separate from all our money, all our possessions, all of our family photos, all of our mementos. Yeah, everything, all of our possessions, we have to separate from all of them at some time or another, and definitely at the time of death.
Suatu ketika, dan yang pastinya di momen kematian, kita akan berpisah dengan semua hal yang telah kita dapatkan. Semua kenangan, semua memori, semua kekayaan, semua hal akan kita tinggalkan. Khususnya di momen kematian.
So we may spend so much time and energy in our life accumulating wealth and accumulating social status, but when we die, it all vanishes and none of it comes with us.
Kita berupaya mati-matian mengumpulkan kekayaan, nama baik, dan ketika kematian datang, semuanya kita tinggalkan. Tidak ada yang kita bawa.
And even before that, we have to separate from our loved ones and our money and so on.
Dan sebelum itu terjadi, kita juga berpisah dengan orang terkasih, dengan uang kita.
Yeah. Did any of us ever expect last year that this year we would be living in a pandemic and how much it would change our lives? Did we have any idea of that?
No. Apakah ada yang berpikir bahwa tahun ini kita akan hidup dengan pandemik dan hidup kita begitu berubah?
Yeah, but there it was. And so we're separated sometimes from loved ones. They're in one country, you're in another. There's now no airplanes going back and forth. And even if there were, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks before you can, see anybody.
Iya. Dan inilah kenyataannya, ya. Kondisinya terjadi. Anda harus berpisah dengan orang yang Anda sukai. Tidak ada pesawat terbang. Kalaupun ada, maka Anda harus dikarantina 14 hari.
Okay. You may have had, a lot of wealth, and now the economy, I don't know if in Indonesia the economy is as bad as it is in the US. But here, many people are out of work and the economy is very bad and it's really hard for people. Is it that way in Indonesia now? Yeah.
Yes, for some people, they lose the job, especially for those who work in the tourism business. Because nobody comes to those places, so hotel is empty, no souvenirs buyers.
Yeah.
Everyone is having difficulty as well. Now di Indonesia juga sama ya kondisinya. Di Amerika juga banyak orang yang kehilangan pekerjaan. Ada orang-orang yang kesulitan karena kondisi pandemik ini.
Okay. And then some of the people that we know, not only are we separated from them, but some of them catch the virus and die. Then we're really separated.
Dan sebagian orang itu ya terjangkit virus dan akhirnya meninggal. Dan akhirnya orang-orang benar-benar terpisah.
So everybody, please be careful. Yeah. keep social distancing, wear a mask.
Jaga diri, jaga jarak, gunakan masker.
Yeah. Try not to go around so much and, be with so many people because it can be very easy to get sick.
Jadi hati-hati, kalau tidak perlu jangan bergaul dengan orang-orang dulu karena sangat mudah untuk jatuh sakit.
Okay. So this verse is saying loved ones will separate, wealth will separate, and our consciousness, our mind, which is in our body and mind are also going to separate. That's what they call death. Okay, birth is when a mind stream comes and links up with the fertilized egg. Death is when the mind stream leaves this body.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen to all of us sometime or another.
Dan selain orang terkasih, kekayaan, kesadaran, ya juga yang ada di dalam tubuh kita juga nanti akan berpisah. Nah, inilah yang disebut sebagai dengan kematian. Ketika arus kesadaran kita meninggalkan tubuh kita.
Yeah. And at the time we die, if we're clinging on to all these things in our life, our family, our possessions, even our body, then death is going to be really horrible because we're going to separate from all these things without any control, without any choice.
Oke. Dan bila kita melekat kepada tubuh, kepada harta, kepada orang-orang terkasih, maka kematian itu akan sangat buruk. Karena kita melekat kepada hal-hal tersebut. Dan kita tidak punya pilihan ya, atau tidak punya kendali atas kematian.
So when this verse says, let go of this life, it means let go of attachment to all these things.
Nah, ketika dikatakan lepaskan kehidupan, ini berarti lepaskan keterikatan kepada hal-hal seperti ini.
When I lived in Dharamsala many years ago, I had a friend who was a refugee from Tibet. And she was a young child when they fled. Her dad was an adult. And it seems like when they fled over the Himalayas to come into India, her father had some gold and he buried it somewhere. Then they lived in India, was good. And then when he was dying, the foremost thing on his mind was to tell his daughter, my friend, where the bag of gold was. Now, can you imagine when you're dying and you're separating from everything, your mind is clinging to this bag of gold, which you can't take with you at all. It's totally useless to you when you're dying. But that's what the mind is holding on to.
Jadi ada waktu saya tinggal di Dharamsala, saya ada seorang kawan orang Tibet yang seorang pengungsi yang kabur dari Tibet pada saat itu. Dan pada saat mereka kabur, ayahnya menyimpan emas yang dikubur. Dan ketika menjelang meninggal, ayahnya ini berusaha untuk menjelaskan di mana dia menyimpan emas tersebut. Dan bayangkan di detik-detik menjelang kematian, seseorang masih melekat kepada sesuatu, emas tersebut, yang bahkan dia sudah tidak dapat bawa lagi.
Okay. So people who have simple lifestyles, who don't have so much attachment, or so much anger, it's easier for them when they die. And so that's what this verse is recommending that we do, is train our mind in simplicity, train our mind in non-attachment.
Ya, bait ini mengajarkan kita untuk hidup dalam kesederhanaan, dalam ketidakmelekatan. ya, karena orang-orang yang tidak hidupnya sederhana, tidak punya banyak hal, tidak punya banyak kemelekatan ini akan lebih mudah ketika meninggal.
Okay. So this might be a good time to stop and see if you have any questions. And who will, I guess raise your hand in the,
I think they're going to do a chat box.
oh, you're going to do the chat box. And then Moming, will you read the questions out to me?
Yes, Venerable. Let me have a look.
Okay.
So far, well, we don't have any questions.
Okay. Maybe people can.
This is very interesting. Those they are very practical in daily life. Yeah, we just need to put it into practice. And also the story of the last story that Venerable told is very interesting. How a person who is about to die thought of something that he couldn't even see or even take.
Take with, yeah.
Yeah, take with nothing actually.
Yeah, it's sad. It's sad. Should I go on to the next verse while we're waiting for people to ask questions?
You know, Venerable, I'm very sorry to say this, but I've been paying attention that it seems that you are very tired actually. That's my understanding. So if you need to have some rest for this evening, that would be very totally understandable.
Okay. No, I have enough energy for 15 more
Okay.
minutes.
Okay.
I'll manage.
Okay. Let me. We have two questions already.
Okay.
Let me say. Amitofo, how can we avoid about thinking about the disease that we have? Yeah.
Thinking about the what?
The illness that we suffer. How can we avoid thinking too much about the illness that we have?
The illness that we have.
The illness that we have. Yeah.
Okay. I think thinking about how many other people have the same illness.
Pikirkan juga ada banyak orang yang mengalami penyakit yang sama.
And then you think about the people in undeveloped countries who have that illness and who have no access to health care.
Ya, pikirkan juga orang-orang yang mengalami penyakit yang sama tapi di daerah yang lebih kurang berkembang, di mana akses kesehatannya kurang.
Or even people who live in developed countries who are poor, and even the healthcare is there, they don't have the money to go to the doctor.
Atau mereka yang miskin, meskipun ada fasilitas kesehatan, tapi mereka tidak mampu untuk pergi menemui dokter.
Okay. And, you know, when we think about other people around the world who have the same illness, and then we think of our situation, like, yeah, I'm okay. I mean, I'm sick, but compared to all these other people, I have such a better situation than they do. So I'm not going to complain.
Ya, jadi kita renungkan kondisi kita lihat kondisi orang lain, bagaimana keadaan mereka, bahwa kita juga lebih baik. Dengan begitu kita tidak banyak keluhan.
Okay. Another way that you can think is that you think, as long as I'm sick, may my being sick compensate for everybody else being sick. In other words, may I take on the suffering of others as long as I'm sick, and may others be free from this illness or whatever they suffer from.
Oke, jadi Anda juga bisa berpraktek merenungkan selama saya sakit, saya akan mengambil penyakit penderitaan yang dirasakan oleh orang lain yang mengalami penyakit yang sama.
Okay.
Okay. We have another one variable, and this is very interesting. It says, is it wrong if we get mad to somebody that we love?
Is it wrong that we
Get angry to our loved one?
do what to our loved ones?
We get angry
Oh, well,
to our loved one.
when you get angry at your loved ones, are you happy?
Bahagiakah Anda ketika marah kepada orang yang kita kasihi?
Anybody happy when they're angry?
Ada yang marah, ada yang bahagia ketika marah.
No. What about your loved one? Are they happy?
Orang yang Anda sayangi itu bahagia nggak?
When you get angry at your loved one, and you quarrel with them, do they say, "Oh, of course, I'm wrong and you're right"? Do they say that to you?
Waktu lagi bertengkar, apakah pasangan Anda bilang, "Oh ya, kamu yang benar, saya yang salah"? Ngomong gitu nggak?
Or do they yell and scream back at you and insult you just as the way you insulted them?
Oke, atau mereka marah dan mereka juga menghina Anda seperti yang Anda lakukan kepada dia.
So, is this something that contributes to human well-being? Is
Apakah
anger in your family, does it contribute to the well-being of anybody?
Apakah marah ini mengakibatkan kebahagiaan, kesejahteraan?
Now, I'm not saying, it doesn't. So I'm not saying that whenever there's a difference in interest, you just capitulate and do what somebody else wants. I'm not saying that.
Saya tidak mengatakan bahwa Anda melakukan saja apa yang orang lain inginkan.
What I am saying is try to discuss the issue with the other person instead of getting angry, because when we're angry, we don't communicate very well.
Yang saya ingin katakan adalah Anda diskusikan masalah ini, karena ketika kita marah, kita tidak dapat berkomunikasi, tidak dapat menemukan solusi.
Yeah. So try and be able to present your viewpoint, in a calm way. Listen to what the other person is saying. See if you can come up with something that is at least satisfactory to both people.
Ya. Jadi Anda katakan apa yang ingin Anda sampaikan, dengarkan apa pendapatnya, kemudian cari solusi sehingga Anda dapat menemukan jalan keluar untuk kedua orang, untuk kedua-duanya.
So I'm not saying stuff your anger down and pretend, "Oh, I'm not angry." I'm not saying that.
Saya tidak mengatakan Anda pura-pura, "Oh enggak, saya enggak marah," gitu. Bukan seperti itu ya.
Okay. What I am saying is try to communicate well with the other person and try to listen well.
Ya, yang ingin katakan Anda komunikasikan dan dengarkanlah dengan baik.
Okay. Other questions?
We still have we have more questions coming up actually.
Oh, that's good. Go ahead.
How many? Let me count. We have wow.
Well, we'll just do them until we get for another, 7 minutes, and we'll
7
do
minutes. Okay.
as much as we can.
Okay. Let me see. It is hard to practice as a lay person. We still have possession, struggle for our life, and etc. easy in theory, but difficult in practice. Please tell how to make it practicable to us.
Okay, it's this thing of simplifying your life. Do you really need to do all the things that you're running around doing? Do you really need to have all the things that you have to work such long hours at work in order to buy? To really ask yourself, what is truly important in your life?
Ya,
And
jadi
then
kita
just let the other things go.
Oke, jadi kita tanyakan hal mana yang penting dalam kehidupan kita. Can you hear me, Venerable?
Can I hear you?
Ya.
Yes?
Yes. Sorry. Jadi kita pertanyakan kembali, ya. Jawabannya adalah sederhanakan hidup kita. Kemudian kita pertanyakan lagi, apakah kita benar-benar membutuhkan segala hal yang kita perjuangkan, barang-barang yang kita beli. Intinya adalah sederhanakanlah hidup kita.
Okay. So I'm answering the question, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So you just have to work at that and, keep saying what is important in my life. And remember that you can choose. Yeah. Don't go through your life always saying, I have to do this, I have to do that, because then there's nothing fun, enough uplifting in your life, because you always feel that, you have all these obligations that you don't really want to do. Yeah. So don't have that attitude towards your life.
Ya.
Remember, you can choose.
Intinya pesan utamanya adalah kita dapat memilih apa yang harus kita lakukan. Sehingga kita tidak ada satu beban di mana saya harus melakukan ini, melakukan itu dengan terpaksa. Jadi hidup kita tidak punya suatu kesenangan, ya, tidak ada kebahagiaan di sana. Pada dasarnya kita dapat memilih apa yang dapat kita lakukan.
Okay.
Okay.
Next.
I think on verse 3, relying on solitude. How do we practice this in the current modern world of internet, where gossip can easily share, idle talk is easily participate?
Okay, will you say that again? Because I missed a few words. Yeah.
Regarding to practice of solitude, Venerable.
Okay.
Current modern world, we have internet where we can share gossip easily. We can easily participate in idle talk. How can we practice or relying on solitude?
Close your Facebook account.
Very practical.
Yeah. Disable the app that enables you to text. Okay. Don't be online all the time. Don't be using your phone all the time. Really, you can live without your phone. I know that sounds like horrible and impossible, but it's true.
Ya, hapus akun Facebooknya, nonaktifkan atau hapus aplikasi-aplikasi yang chat. Jangan terlalu sering lihat HP. Mana mungkin sih, ya, tapi bisa dilakukan.
Okay. We don't always have to be connected and available to people. I mean, I don't have a cell phone. Can you imagine? And I'm still alive and I'm happy and I don't have a cell phone and I don't want one either.
Ya, nggak usah connected terus, ya, tidak perlu selalu online. Bayangkan saya tidak punya HP dan saya juga masih hidup. Saya juga tidak pengen punya telepon genggam.
Yeah. And I don't have a Facebook account. I mean, there is a Facebook account with my name, but somebody else runs it. But I never go on Facebook to do my own account because I don't have one.
Oke.
It saves so much time.
Ya, saya juga tidak punya Facebook. Memang ada Facebook atas nama saya, tapi orang lain yang bikin, yang kelola ya.
So it is possible.
Agree. Very agree. Because I think usually social media, sometimes it contains news or other stuff that actually is not really important to the Dharma practice.
Yeah. And we just hear sometimes so much rubbish.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
then we get, you know, it incites our attachment, it incites our anger.
Jadi ada begitu banyak sampah sebenarnya di internet yang kemudian memicu keresahan kita, kemelekatan kita, dan juga kemarahan kita.
Okay, so one more question.
One more, okay. I'm waiting for the instruction.
Okay.
Okay, this is very interesting. Venerable, how can we give advice to our family? We know what he or she is wrong. For example, he is a hunter. He is hunting animals such as boar, monkeys. When I talked to him, he said he was helping the farmers because the animal destroy their crops. So it's like someone is shooting animals. And then he's saying that actually he is helping the animals. He's helping the farmers because the animals is destroying the.
Yeah. It depends. You know, it's hard for me to give you personal advice because I don't know the person that you're talking about.
Ya.
Yeah.
Sulit juga ya kasih nasihat pribadi karena saya tidak kenal orang yang Anda maksudkan.
So with some people, if you explain that it causes the animals pain and suffering, you know, for some people, if you explain that, then they'll go, oh, yeah, I don't want to cause pain and suffering to animals.
Untuk sebagian orang, bila Anda jelaskan bahwa itu menciptakan penderitaan bagi makhluk, mungkin mereka bisa mengerti.
Yeah. Or maybe you can try and think of other ways. If the animals are destroying the farmers' crops, what about putting fences around? Okay. What about other things? What are other things that you can do to preserve the crops without harming the animals?
Ya. Anda juga bisa memikirkan cara-cara lain untuk melindungi tanaman tersebut, misalnya dengan memasang pagar.
Yeah, so if you can help the person think of another way, that might be one way.
Anda bisa bantu orang tersebut untuk memikirkan cara yang lain, alih-alih cuman dengan membunuhnya.
Yeah, if it's somebody who believes in the law of karma and past and future lives, then you can talk about, you know, not creating non-virtuous karma and instead preserving life and creating virtue.
Untuk orang yang memahami karma, Anda dapat membantu menjelaskan tentang karma, bagaimana menjaga kehidupan dan juga melakukan kebajikan dengan melindungi kehidupan.
Okay. So let's dedicate the merit.
Ya, mari kita lakukan dedikasi kebajikan.
Yeah, there was some verses that were put on at the beginning of the session that are actually the dedication verses.
Yeah.
Yeah. If they can be put up, then everybody can say them together.
Oke, jadi kita akan lakukan dedikasi kebajikan. Kak Rudi tolong nggak tahu bantu baca. Saya nggak kelihatan soalnya.
Okay. Good. So can everybody see the part that's in Bahasa Indonesian?
Oh yes, benar Bang.
You can
We
see it?
Yes,
Okay.
we can. We can make it bigger.
Okay. And then Moming, will you lead everybody in reciting the dedication verses?
Only in Bahasa Venerable.
Yes. Yes, please.
Ibu Bapak, teman-teman sedharma, Anda dapat mengikuti pembacaan ini dalam hati. Saya akan memandunya. Dedikasi kebajikan. Dengan kebajikan ini, semoga kita segera mencapai pencerahan seperti Guru Buddha, agar kita mampu membebaskan semua makhluk dari penderitaannya. Semoga batin pencerahan yang berharga ini, bila belum muncul, akan segera bangkit dan berkembang. Semoga yang telah bangkit tidak merosot, tetapi terus berkembang selama-lamanya. Thank you, Venerable.
Okay, thank you. So everybody, please think about what you heard. Okay, don't just, turn off your computer and then forget about it. But you may want to jot down some important points so you can think about them later, or listen to the tape again so that you can really familiarize yourself with the teaching. Okay?
Jadi renungkanlah pembahasan kita hari ini, catat poin-poin penting, ulangi sehingga Anda dapat membiasakan diri dengan ajaran-ajaran.
Okay. Good. Then I will see you in a few weeks.
Yes, Venerable.
Venerable,